There's nothing wrong with being a gentleman. The only thing that there's a problem with today is simping. People on the internet who are pretty much incels, who subscribe to a very toxic idea of what red pill masculinity is, will see me with this beautiful girl having purchased these flowers and think simp. For all the young men out there who get very confused by the terms used on the internet, I would say simping is one thing and one thing only. Simping is an unfair exchange of value. That's what simping is. If a girl doesn't know I exist and I found her address, I'm sending flowers to her house just to make her happy, that very much is simping. If I am waiting by the door to my office going into work and trying to open the door for every single woman in the hope that they'll recognize me, that is simping. Buying flowers for a work colleague who isn't interested in you is simping. However, if you are trying to get a woman to take you seriously in terms of starting a relationship with her, then very few things you can do can be considered simping. Because as I said, that's an unfair exchange of value. If the value you get at the end is a girlfriend, or maybe even a wife or family, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with, buying them flowers, opening the door, opening their car door. Even if you pull up at her house, jump out, run around, open it up, let her in, close the door, run right back around and get in the driver's seat. These are all very standard gentlemanly moves that you can make. It's when you're making them for women who will never have a serious interest in you, that's when it becomes simping. Elegance in men is a lot more about behavior than the way you dress. It's not a costume you could put on. It's very much your mannerisms and the way that you behave. If you were to put me in sneakers and sweatpants, I would still fit in a top-end restaurant more so than I would have done at 19 wearing a full suit. It's the way you open doors for people, the way that you greet the waiters, the way that you greet the staff, the way that you treat your guests. If you're driving a lady, particularly, and you're not in the West where they've all become radical feminists, by all means, get out the car first, walk around the side, open the door. It's something that you can't wear, it's something that you have to be. So read up tips on basic etiquette, how to hold your knife and fork, how to hold a glass of wine by the stem and not by the bowl of it at the top, and you'll fit in a lot more at the better places and seem a lot more elegant, regardless of what you're wearing. It depends on the setting that you're talking about. If you're setting yourself amongst high value men and you want to seem more gentlemanly, then certainly cutting out foul language in the way you speak is the way. The one trick, I say trick, I guess the one trait and the one behavior I like is if somebody is getting up or leaving a table, to stand up yourself. And also when anyone wants to greet you or to shake your hand, whether it be male or female, never do it sitting down. If a man comes over to me and is about to walk over and sit at my table, I'll never shake his hand sitting down. I'll never say hi to a woman and give her a half hug sitting down. You always stand up, look the man in the eyes and shake his hand, or you stand up, look at the woman in the eyes, give her a kiss on both cheeks. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 1, depending on what country you're from, but never ever greet people from your seat. That is a number one red flag. And also it's one of the most important because it's usually people's first impression of you. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of variations. And to be fair, if you're a worldly person, there are a bunch of variations to this. I think in Southeast Asia, I've been in India, Thailand, Vietnam. That's when people will give you the double handshake. They'll grab your hand, but that's very much a sign of being a subordinate, a guy who you tip heavily at a hotel will grab your hand. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. There are different etiquettes and ways to bow to certain people in Japan. I know you always have to bow lower than the person you're bowing to if he's in a position of seniority, but Japan's not a place I hang out a lot at. But before you go to anywhere new, I would certainly look up the little traits within the culture and try to play along as best as you can because it's usually appreciated. The real world used to have a lot of hype around it, and the hype was created by the fact that it was Andrew and I who created an online educational platform. I would say that the real world has now traded hype, it hasn't got hype anymore, with legacy. I feel like the people involved in making the real world run have proven themselves time and time again as competent professors, competent teachers. The people who run the tech have proven themselves as extremely competent administrators of the school. I think that Andrew and I could completely take our hands off of it and have no input inside of the school itself, and it would run very, very well for, years and years on end. I think that the real world now is a more exciting place to be than it's ever been. It's still the same great price. We still have not increased the price level for it, and I don't think we ever will. There's still no pay to play to get interaction from the professors, etc. But that is something that may come in the future as and when their time is more and more in demand. But I'm just very, very proud of the fact that it's something that Andrew and I created, but you could take it away from me and Andrew, and you could have somebody else own it and somebody else market it, and it would still be, in its current form, an absolutely fantastic product. Try to distance your mindset from the real world just being Andrew Tate's university, and take Andrew out of it and just look at it as a true alternative to university, a true alternative to traditional education where you can learn the skills you need to make money on your own time today. The key behind selling anything is identifying a need. And we're very lucky with a product and a school like the Real World in the way that it can fulfill basically everybody's need. There's nobody who's looking at making money online and utilizing their skills in front of their computer to generate an income that can't be satisfied with the Real World. So back when I used to sell windows and doors to people, it was a relatively complicated pitch. You'd find out what the problems with their homes were. Was it aesthetic? Did the house look ugly? Was the house too cold? Was the house too hot? Was the house not secure enough? And you'd identify these various things based on where they lived, what their house looked like, what the house felt like inside, if there were drafts, and then you try to sell them whichever home improvement product you liked. However, there isn't a single person here who interacts with me who doesn't understand that they need to increase their skill levels in certain methods of wealth creation and content creation on the internet, especially. Even myself, I, for one, am not so adept with AI image generation, AI content creation. I'm lucky and blessed enough to be in a position where I can hire people to do this for me, and I can outsource people to do this for me. I have the real world professors who can do this for me. I also have real world students. But you, if you don't know how to use AI, can certainly use the real world. If you shop on Amazon and you buy items, as opposed to being a consumer, why not run your own Amazon web store, become a supplier? Again, you can use the real world. Internet marketing is a very important part of what me and Andrew do for our brand and our business, and we are arguably the best in the world at it. Well, where can you learn this? The real world. And who are you learning from? Arguably the most famous and successful internet marketers of all time and the people behind their strategies. So it's a very easy product to sell if I were a salesman telling you to sign up. And it's why I don't really have to tell people to sign up that much, because a few moments of investigation into what the real world is and what is taught inside of it, and you understand it's very easily worth $49.99 a month. Maybe you don't care much about making money. Maybe you just want to get into shape. Maybe you just want to take your nutrition more seriously while learning these things for fun. Maybe you're already a millionaire. Good, then you have a health and fitness professional to teach you inside of the real world. Who's health and fitness professional? Me, Tristan Tate, multi-millionaire. You have my health and fitness guy inside the real world, and you can access them all for a lot less than I used to pay them. So really, it's a product that sells itself. I mean, if you're not a member of the real world and you think you have no use for this school, I assure you, you are wrong. So don't sign up. I don't care. If you're trying to sell the real world to people whose minds are locked into the matrix programming, you're probably not going to succeed, because their objections to the product are actually more objections to Andrew and myself than the product at all. They haven't looked into the product. They don't know what it does. It's like seeing Matthew McConaughey in those old Lincoln commercials. Do you remember? And he talks about, I like driving a Lincoln. If I hate Matthew McConaughey, if I hate him with all of my guts, I don't really care what a Lincoln drives like. I don't care what features it has. I don't care how the steering is. I don't care how the handling is. I'm not going to go and test drive a Lincoln because I hate Matthew McConaughey.